Well, I'm doing a third video, guys. Check this out. Darn it. wdtx 1402. There are many people on YouTube that actually done videos about this fine person. Even though I did videos about looking at cursed locomotive paint schemes, I never really did videos about looking at his photos, so I think I'm going to do a third video, this time looking at this guy. I may do a couple others, I'm not sure though, but yeah. We're going to be looking at some of his cursed locomotive paint schemes, and I'm going to be making my opinions about them. You can agree with my opinions, you cannot agree with my opinions, it's all up to you. And to start things off, we got a FURX locomotive livery. It looks like some kind of like passenger locomotive. I must say that does look pretty weird. I don't have too much opinions about it, so yeah, we're gonna move on. On it. Hang on a second, guys. I'm just trying to figure out how to like go to the next picture. Shit. Hang on a second, guys. Having a little bit of trouble here, so I'm just gonna have to scroll down through here. What type of locomotive is that? Now I'm actually pretty curious. If any of you guys know what type of diesel locomotive this is, sound off in the comments. But this paint scheme definitely looks pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. If Union Pacific had locomotives with like this, that would be pretty awesome. I actually saw this earlier before I started recording. A Sioux Siemens charger. I don't care what you guys say about it, but I must say that looks pretty nice. If Sioux Line had locomotives like these, especially if they had passenger cars that they could pull passenger trains with, this would be perfect for their railroad. It's a shame that they're not around anymore though. A Rio Grande Union Pacific Heritage Unit locomotive paint scheme on an F40PH. I find it amusing how there's a bunch of passenger locomotives out there with photos of them having freight liveries rather than actual passenger liveries, and they do the same with the passenger liveries but on freight locomotives. I find that kind of funny, not gonna lie. Okay, that actually looks pretty awesome. If Amtrak had a, I'm not even gonna say it, but high-speed locomotives like this with paint schemes like this, that would be pretty freaking awesome. Also, the Alessa, I can't pronounce the name right, but basically the Alessa passenger cars look a bit like Amfleet coaches with their colors and whatnot. I find that pretty nifty. A Penn Central F40 PH. I'm sorry, but that is just cursed. Get out of here. I want to say that's a genset, but I don't know, but that does look pretty strange to say the least. CSX Amtrak type high speed locomotive. Oh my god, that is so cursed. No, 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 get out. Like I said earlier, I find it amusing how not only are there freight liveries on express locomotives, but also passenger liveries on freight locomotives. This happens to be one of the ones that have the freight liveries on the express locomotives. That is kind of funny. Okay. That goes so hard. That's an awesome looking locomotive that has an awesome looking paint scheme. It's like an F40PH type of paint scheme. If Amtrak had locomotives like these, that'd make rail fan a hell of a lot more fun, if I'm being honest. An NBTA Transit SD9, I think it is, or an SD7 or something like that. That does look pretty nifty. I remember seeing a picture of an Amtrak GP9 I thought that was just some nonsensical fake garbage, but it turns out Amtrak had actual GP9s with different paint schemes, of course. But yeah, kind of reminds me of that. I don't know what type of locomotive that is, but that does look pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. A Sioux electric passenger locomotive. I said it again. Darn it. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. Damn it. I can't talk properly. I'm sorry if I'm talking incorrectly. I said it once and I'll say it again. It's very funny how those freight liveries on passenger locomotives and opposite. And it's basically being in passenger liveries on freight locomotives. I find that kind of funny. I don't know what to say about that. Okay. That needs to exist. That is way too cool to be just a picture of. Southern Pacific had locomotives like these. This would be pretty freaking awesome. I don't know what to say about the Amtrak locomotive paint scheme on this diesel engine. I can't say I hate it, but I can't say I like it. I don't know what type of locomotive this is. Same as earlier. Sound off in the comments below if you know what type of locomotives this and this are. Speaking of which, I want to say this is some kind of Alco locomotive. I'm not sure, but whatever type of locomotive this is, this looks like a nice Southern Pacific Union Pacific Heritage unit. Huh. I want to say that's a freight locomotive. I don't know, though. Okay, that goes so hard. Canadian Pacific needs to have these. But why are there freight liveries on passenger locomotives? I still can't understand what's up with that. That actually looks pretty solid. If Santa Fe had locomotives like these, especially on being a Civ, that would be a pretty nice looking locomotive. A Western Pacific, I want to say it's a Jevo, but I don't know, but that just goes so hard. That's way too cool to exist as a photo. That needs to physically exist in real life. I don't have any opinions about this. This actually reminds me of a Amtrak GP9 or something like that, because it has GP trucks underneath. But yeah, that does look pretty nifty. Not gonna lie, don't have too much to say about it. Get out, that is cursed. A Pennsylvania Railroad F40. Get out. What kind of railroad is this from? I don't know what to say about that. Didn't Amtrak already have locomotives with this paint scheme? Because I swear to God, they had Amtrak Cascade F40 PHs. I want to say they did, but I don't know. Because I think I saw a couple of online photos of these. I don't know if it's just Photoshop or what, but yeah, that does look pretty cool though, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have any opinions about this locomotive. I don't know what railroad it's from. I don't know what locomotive this is. But yeah, sound off in the comments below if you know what this is. That actually looks pretty solid. Not too bad for a CP rail locomotive livery on this diesel locomotive. No, that is cursed. No. Electromotive General Electric loco. That is cursed. No. That does look like a nice looking Metro locomotive, but why is it pulling a... No, I'm not even gonna say it. That actually looks pretty nice. 7 out of 10 I rate this. Looks pretty good. I have no opinions about this one. A Metrolink F40PH. I want to say they had these before, but I don't know. But if they had these, that'd be nice. Oh, I can't forget about this one. That looks cursed. Yeah, no. That looks like a nice VA rail paint scheme on the freight logo, but why is it... I can't even speak. If Caltrain had locos like these, that would be pretty nifty. Huh. I want to say BNSF had locos like these. It reminds me of a certain BNSF heritage type of locomotive, but I don't know though. I'm trying to think about it, but I can't get the word out for some dumb reason. No, that is cursed. Oh my god, no! Is that an Amtrak SD40-2 or is that an SD50? I don't know. But that looks pretty nice. I have no opinions about that. I don't know what type of railroad this is supposed to be based off of, but yeah. Okay. This is where I close the line. Yeah, that's gonna have to do it for today. Special shout out to wdtx 1402. I may do a couple other videos following up to this, but I don't know though. But yeah, if you guys want any more videos like this, like and subscribe. Sign up in the comments below which locomotive paint scheme was your favorite on which locomotive. And yeah, guess I'll see you in the next one. Until then, I'm B40HMZ. I'll see you down the line. Until then, I'm out. Peace, baby.